Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, I have a couple of great bizarre stories to tell you all about today, folks. One, this priest's encounter when he was a boy with a Ouija board and possible demonic forces. Another, this flight's encounter with a possible alien entity. Let's get into the first article. Childhood Ouija board incident leads to demonic attachment and an exorcist calling. Let's get into the article now and read the full account. The following account was received from a clergyman who describes a lifelong trajectory shaped by an early childhood encounter with the occult, beginning in early childhood and extending into adulthood. The experiences outlined here raise questions about spiritual attachment, religious vocation, and the long-term psychological and theological impact of alleged demonic contact. Dear Mr. Strickler, I want to share a brief account of my deep, dark involvement with the supernatural. When I was 8 years old, I played with a Ouija board, which is very dangerous. At that time, I did not know any better. Unfortunately, I attracted the attention of a level 7 demon named Dymak, who attached himself to me. He promised me that he would never hurt me, and he never did. However, he was seen by other kids in the neighborhood as Damien. Ooh, that's interesting, folks. I'd love to know when exactly this took place. Why did this entity, DMAC, call itself Damien? Because that reminds me of the Omen movie series, because the villain was named Damien in it. So very interesting. But let's read on, folks. DMAC slowly taught me witchcraft, transforming me into a powerful version of Harry Potter. I discovered that magic is real, the dark side exists, and hell and Satan are real too. The imaginary creatures of myth and legend turned out to be real as well. I stayed close to Damien until I was freed from his possession at the age of 15. At age 16, I felt a calling from God to enter the priesthood and became an exorcist. At that time, I flat out refused. However, at 25, while in college, I converted to Roman Catholicism and eventually went on to seminary. Later, I left the Roman Church to join the Anglican Church. I completed an Anglican seminary, became an Anglican priest, and then aligned myself with the Anglo-Catholic Church. Very interesting so far, folks. And I'm glad to hear this man found his faith, but let's continue with his story. I've conducted and survived 3 exorcisms, along with many cleansings and blessings. Satan is furious with me for using what I learned on the dark side against him for the glory of God. This is my experience in a nutshell. Sincerely, I guess FRC, I guess maybe either Friar C or Frederick C, folks. Good to hear from this man and hear that he is fighting the good fight. There's also some commentary notes, folks. So let's read these now as well and hear a little more information about all of this. This report follows a recurring pattern seen in long-term occult exposure cases beginning in childhood, often involving divination tools such as Ouija boards. The emotional tone suggests certainty, conviction, and a perceived narrative of transformation from influence to opposition. Similar accounts frequently appear in Catholic and Anglican demonology literature, particularly among clergy who report early anomalous experiences followed by later religious vocation. Interpretive frameworks range from psychological internalization to theological possession narratives, with some researchers considering an interdimensional or archetypical model rather than a literal demonic taxonomy. Very interesting, folks, if all of this is true indeed. From what it sounds like, this seems to follow a pattern that's seen over and over again, with basically priests being drawn to their vocation after encounters with these infernal and demonic entities, folks, basically driven to fight them in the name of God. Very interesting to learn about that, folks, and that this man, FRC here, had such a case. Either way, it's enlightening to learn about. But let's move on to the next story now. TWA Flight 800 off Long Island, New York was the full truth ever told about the 1996 mid-air explosion. Let's read on and find out, folks, and hear this account for ourselves that might involve a possible alien encounter during this disaster. Let's get into it now. On the evening of July 17, 1996, Trans World Airlines Flight 800 exploded mid-air shortly after departing New York, killing all 230 people aboard and sending shockwaves through the aviation world. Nearly 3 decades later, renewed claims from former investigators and grieving families have reopened an uncomfortable question. Did the official explanation truly account for everything that happened off the coast of Long Island? Let's read on and find out, as I said earlier, folks. TWA Flight 800, a Boeing 747 bound for Paris, departed John F. Kennedy International Airport at 8:19 p.m. and climbed normally before suddenly breaking apart approximately 12 minutes later. Hundreds of witnesses along Long Island and aboard nearby boats reported seeing a streak of light rising into the sky followed by a fireball. These early eyewitness descriptions fueled immediate speculation that a missile may have struck the aircraft. In the chaotic weeks that followed, multiple theories emerged, including a terrorist bomb, a missile strike, or a rare mid-year event. The FBI and the NTSB launched one of the most extensive and most expensive aviation investigations in history, allegedly reconstructing much of the aircraft from recovered debris. After 4 years of analysis, the National Transportation Safety Board concluded that a spark from faulty wiring likely ignited flammable vapors in the center wing fuel tank, causing a catastrophic internal explosion. That's the public explanation that the authorities came up with, folks. But let's read on, because there might be more to it. However, dissent never entirely disappeared. Several former investigators, including at least one senior NTSB official, later stated that physical evidence and radar data suggested an external explosion. They claimed there was pressure within federal agencies to frame the event as an accident rather than explore alternatives involving military activity or terrorism. These assertions resurfaced predominantly with the release of later documentaries and petitions calling for the case to be reopened based on what they described as new material analysis. Opposing voices, including former FBI Assistant Director James Killstrom and senior NTSB leadership, have forcefully rejected these claims. They maintain that all evidence was thoroughly reviewed and that missile theories represent recycled speculation rather than credible new findings. Some victims' families have also expressed deep frustration, stating that repeated reopening of the debate only prolongs their grief. Despite official resistance, the NTSB has acknowledged receipt of petitions requesting a fresh review and has reiterated that investigations are never truly closed if substantive new information emerges. For many observers, the persistence of disagreement among experts is itself unusual and continues to cast a long shadow over the case, because why are they going to such lengths to not, look at this new information, folks? Honestly, it seems like they're almost afraid. But let's read the commentary notes that go along with this article, and then we can basically speculate as to the actual nature of it all. Several notable patterns remain consistent throughout the decades of debate. First, the emotional tone surrounding Flight 800 is markedly intense, even among seasoned investigators, suggesting unresolved tension rather than settled history. Second, eyewitness accounts describing an ascending light remain difficult to reconcile fully with the internal fuel tank explosion, regardless of official explanations. Third, the presence of military exercises in the region that evening continues to fuel speculation even in the absence of definitive proof. From an investigative perspective, this case aligns with other historical incidents where classified military activity, public trauma, and incomplete transparency intersect. While no cryptid or ultra-terrestrial elements are indicated here, the Flight 800 controversy fits squarely within a broader pattern of modern-era anomalies in which official conclusions and persistent counter-narratives coexist for decades. Indeed, they do, folks. And because of what the authorities are doing with this case, has undoubtedly basically poured fuel on the fire on what actually happened with Flight 800 near, Long Island, New York. Either way, here's a picture of the debris that they basically collected after the explosion, folks. Were these debris actually showing something else going on here, folks? Something a little more alien, perhaps? Do you think that the military was test running some sort of vehicle there, folks? Perhaps maybe using parts, or maybe the entire craft was reverse engineered from technology from aliens? I'm only saying that, folks, because I think if the military was responsible, they might cover this up, but there might be something else. Either way, we're at the end, folks, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions of the chat to do so. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.